Hi, everybody. Dr. Roseann here, and I am with one of my absolute favorite people on the planet, my dear friend, Shelley Gawith, and she's a functional nutritionist, and she's here to share her 3 top tips to avoid mask mouth. Go for it, Shelley.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Roseann. And as children are about to go back to school, they are going to be wearing masks all day long. So this is really important and really relative. We have to wear the mask. So what can we do to prevent mask mouth? And mask mouth is when we get a buildup of bad bacteria in our mouths that then goes on to affect our whole digestive system and our gut bacteria. A lot of us talk about gut bacteria and what that means, but really it begins in our mouths. So now more than ever, it's really important to be really proactive. While your children need to wear masks all day long in the classroom, and that is 100% really important, when they go outside on their breaks or when they're at home or walking to and from school or in the car, as much as possible, you want to be making sure that your children get a break from wearing their masks. So it's really important that they are not doing it for 8 hours straight, that whenever they're outside, take the mask off and let them breathe in the fresh air. Have breaks. So whenever we always have movement breaks, for all of us parents working at desks, we know to have movement breaks throughout the day, otherwise it will impact our physical health. The same thing with wearing masks. We need a mask break throughout the day, and we need to teach our children to do this. Tip number 1, remove the mask and take a break. Tip number 2 is they really dehydrate you. So a lot of adults are already finding that they have really dry mouths at the end of the day. A lot of children don't necessarily drink that much water if it's not modeled to them by their parents. And if they can no longer use the water fountains in their school playgrounds, which for most schools they can no longer do that, it is really important that as a parent, you pack your child a water bottle each day and you make sure your child is drinking that whole water bottle during the school day. They can drink extra water in the evenings with you, but you want it to be water to get them hydrated. If they have any other liquids in the house, that's different to water for getting them hydrated. The third thing is what we're seeing and what studies are now showing is when you're wearing a mask, it is changing the way that we're breathing. So science and medical research will tell us that we need to, and we're designed to breathe through our noses. Our nose is the first line of our immune response and defense against pathogens, against viruses, and against bacteria. As we're moving into winter, or you're moving into winter, we need that first line of defense to be going strong. If the masks are changing the way you're breathing and you're now breathing through your mouth, it's really important to have a conversation with your children and make sure that as much as possible they have that awareness to try and breathe through their noses as much as possible when they've got the mask on. But secondly, when they don't have the mask on, teach them to switch back and be really conscious. And Dr. Roseann shares so many different breathing techniques. So when they're doing those breathing techniques and tips that she's taught you, make sure that you're talking to them about going back to breathing through their noses. Now, we want to make sure they've got awareness for it, because otherwise you grow up into an adult and you start just subconsciously, you just become a new pattern is to breathe through your mouth, which disrupts your sleep patterns, it disrupts your immune system. There's so many key physiological things that are happening in our bodies when we breathe through our noses. So it's really key to be really conscious of it and proactive. So whenever you can, switch back to breathing through your nose. And as much as possible, breathe through your nose and get your children to breathe through their noses when wearing the mask.
And Shelley, thank you for these tips, because I'm hearing about mouth masks literally every day. People are talking about it's a new reality, and these are all great tips that anybody can do.
Can I give one more? One more, just before I forget.
Shelley, it's a bonus. Go ahead.
Lots of osteos and chiropractors are now reporting also a change in the physical structure. So just like when we're at desks all day, we get hunched up shoulders and sore backs. Because of the stress of wearing a mask, it's causing tension in our jaws and in our shoulders. So encouraging children to do any simple exercises, even while they're wearing the mask, to relax their jaws and to move their neck and head, That's really important as well. So doing them as a family, turning them into fun activities, having mask mouth breaks throughout the day, changing the way you breathe, hydrating, and doing the exercises.
And I truly love these tips because these are great health tips all the time anyway. So thank you so much for sharing your best tips for helping with mask.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rowe.